Last Friday, my dad told me I owed $300,000, or I wasn't his daughter anymore. But when I checked my credit that night, I realized something terrifying. The debt was already in my name. My name is Paige Dawson. I'm 31 years old, and last Friday, my life split cleanly into before and after. It started at my parents' kitchen table. My father didn't ease into it. He never does. He looked at me like I was a problem he'd already solved and said, "You owe $300,000. If you don't pay it, you're not my daughter anymore." Just like that. No explanation, no discussion, a number and a condition. I remember looking at my mom, waiting for her to say something, anything, but she just stared down at her hands, twisting her wedding ring like she was trying to disappear inside it. "It's your sister's debt," Dad added. "Family takes care of family." I should have argued, asked questions, fought back. Instead, I said something that surprised even me. "Then I'm not." The silence that followed felt louder than anything he'd said. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked out. No yelling, no slammed doors, just the quiet sound of a decision being made. The drive home felt longer than usual, 2 hours of replaying that moment over and over. But it wasn't the ultimatum that stuck with me, it was the number, 300,000. Dad doesn't guess numbers, he knows them, and something about the way he said it felt rehearsed. When I got home, I did something I wish I'd done months earlier. I checked my bank accounts. Everything looked normal, but something wasn't sitting right. 3 weeks ago, my mortgage application had been denied. At the time, I brushed it off, figured it was a glitch, maybe a clerical error. Now, it didn't feel like a coincidence. So I pulled my credit report, and that's when everything cracked open. My score? 480. I stared at it, thinking it had to be wrong. Then I saw the accounts. Credit cards I'd never opened, loans I'd never applied for, a car I'd never driven. All under my name, all overdue, all real. That's when it hit me, not as a thought, but as a realization so heavy it felt physical. This wasn't a mistake, this was deliberate. And somehow, my father already knew the total. But the worst part wasn't the debt. It was what I discovered next when I traced where all those accounts were actually going. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I pulled reports from every credit bureau I could access. Line by line, account by account. I pieced it together like a forensic audit. Total debt, just over $300,000. 4 credit cards, 2 personal loans, an auto loan for a luxury SUV. Every account was in my name. Every signature looked like mine, but none of it was mine. What caught my attention wasn't just the debt, it was the addresses. None of them matched my apartment. They all pointed somewhere else, somewhere familiar. Millfield, my parents' town. That's when my chest tightened. This wasn't random. This wasn't identity theft by a stranger. Whoever did this knew me, knew my information, my habits, my life. Then I saw it. A mailing address tied to every account. A P.O. box. I sat there staring at the screen, the realization creeping in slowly, like a shadow filling a room. Someone had redirected my mail. For years, which meant every statement, every overdue notice, every warning had never reached me. It was all intercepted, hidden, planned. And suddenly, my father's words made sense. "You're paying it." Not because I owed it, but because legally it already belonged to me. I said it out loud for the first time, just to hear how it sounded. My family stole my identity. The words didn't feel real, but the numbers on the screen didn't lie. I called my best friend Nora at 2 a.m. She picked up instantly, no questions, just concern. After I explained everything, she went quiet. That alone scared me. Then she said something that shifted everything. "You need a lawyer, now." By sunrise, I had contacted one. His response came fast, direct, and cold. "This is identity theft, possibly mail fraud. Do not contact your family." That last line stayed with me. Do not contact your family. Because at that moment, they weren't just my family anymore. They were suspects. But I didn't listen completely, because the next morning, my father called, and what he said confirmed everything. My phone rang at 7 a.m. Dad. I almost ignored it, but my lawyer had said not to confront them, not to stay silent, so I answered. "You made your mother cry all night," he said immediately. No greeting, no hesitation. I let the silence sit for a second before replying. "I think we need to talk about the money. That's what I tried to do," he snapped. "No," I said calmly. "We need to talk about where it actually came from." That's when everything shifted. There was a pause, long enough to feel intentional. Then he said something that told me everything I needed to know. "We borrowed." Borrowed? Like that made it okay. "You don't borrow money in someone else's name," I replied. "We were going to pay it back," he said. I almost laughed. "You've had 3 years." Silence. Then the tone changed. "If you do something stupid," he warned, "you'll tear this family apart." That word, stupid. I leaned back, suddenly very calm. Something like calling my bank? Dead silence. Not denial, not outrage. Silence. That's when I knew. He wasn't surprised I'd figured it out. He was surprised how fast. Later that day, my mom called, crying, or at least sounding like she was. After a few minutes of emotional pressure, I asked her directly, "Did you sign my name on those loan applications?" The silence that followed was heavier than anything my father had said. Then she whispered, "I did it to keep this family together." Not denial, a confession, wrapped in justification. That's when something inside me shifted permanently. Because love doesn't forge signatures, and family doesn't build survival on someone else's destruction. But if I thought the truth would make them stop, I was wrong, because what they did next was worse than the fraud itself. I gave them a choice. 7 days. That was it. 7 days to come clean, cooperate, and fix what they'd done. Or I'd file everything. Legally, formally, permanently. I sent the message just before midnight. Clear, direct, no emotion. Then I waited. Day 1, silence from my father. Day 2, messages from extended family. Not asking what happened, not asking for my side, just judging. You should help. Family comes first. Why involve lawyers? My father had already told his version. In his story, I was selfish, ungrateful, cold. Not one person asked for the truth. By day 3, they created a group chat. 14 people, all repeating the same thing. Just pay it. I didn't respond. Instead, I documented everything. Screenshots, messages, names. Evidence. Day 4, my mom showed up at my door, holding food like nothing had happened, like this was just another disagreement that could be softened with comfort. I didn't let her in. I asked her one question. "Did you forge my signature?" She said yes. Again. And somehow still expected forgiveness. That's when I realized something painful. They didn't think they'd done anything wrong. They thought I was the problem. Day 5, my father called again. This time, no emotion, just threats. "If you file, I'll ruin your reputation. I'll call your job. I'll make sure you lose everything." I listened. Then I said one thing: "You have 2 days left," and I hung up. But on the 7th day, they didn't call, they didn't apologize, they showed up at my door together. On day 7, I signed everything. Reports filed, credit frozen, complaints submitted. There was no going back. That evening, I heard multiple cars pull up outside my apartment. I looked out the window. My entire family was there. All of them, together, like this was an intervention. I opened the door before they knocked. My father stood at the front, confident as ever. "We came to settle this," he said. I shook my head. "You're 7 days too late." Then my lawyer stepped forward beside me, and everything changed. Inside my apartment, I laid it all out: the accounts, the forged signatures, the P.O. box, the evidence, piece by piece. No emotion, just facts. For the first time, the room went quiet. Not defensive, not angry, just quiet, because now they were seeing it, not as a story, but as proof. My uncle picked up one of the documents, studied the signature, and said, "This isn't hers." That was the moment everything broke. The narrative, the control, the illusion. My father tried to justify it. We were going to fix it. My lawyer didn't even raise his voice. This is federal fraud. That word hit differently. Fraud. Not family issue, not misunderstanding, a crime. I looked at my father one last time and said, "I gave you a chance." Then I told them the truth. "I've already filed everything." No one argued after that. They left one by one, slower than they arrived, quieter than they'd ever been. And when the door finally closed, I realized something. I didn't lose my family that day. I lost the illusion of one. And what happened after the investigation began was something none of them were prepared for.
Before you go, if you think this story was shocking, you need to watch this next one, because what happened there was even more unbelievable. Tap the video on